Hello, welcome to the YouTube series Papa Lee and the Aliens. My name is Henry Lee Chenault, aka Mystery Answer Man, aka Papa Lee. I am your host and narrator. 8 years ago I wrote 3 books, Answers, More Answers, and The Final Answer. I later combined all three of these books into one called The Trilogy of Life. I wished I'd never named it that because there's so many books out there called The Trilogy of something. The book is a complete story of life before the creation of the present universe up to the future events of the apocalypse and Armageddon. The book is based on the Bible, the Quran, the Sumerian texts, the Mayan codices, and the Hopi Indian legends. The theories are backed by scientific facts. The theories, or answers as I call them, are not my own. The answers were given to me in an unusual way. I will explain this shortly. It has taken over 36 years for me to develop the courage to reveal these answers to mankind. I hope that every episode will stretch your imagination and educate you about the world in which you live, work, and play. Before we get started, I think you need to know the man who says he has all the answers. First, I'm a 67-year-old man, overweight, have high blood pressure, and type 2 diabetes. I haven't been to the doctor in over 20 years. Second, I would describe myself as a sheep. I start each day by saying the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. I dedicate this YouTube series to my Creator in heaven. I serve my shepherd every single day. Each day I say this prayer. Lord, thank you for all you have given me. Make me a better man. Work me hard for your name's sake because I can take it. Third, I'm a husband. I've been married to my true soulmate for over 26 years. Fourth, I am a father. I have 6 children whom I consider to be my best friends. Fifth, I am a grandfather. I have 12 grandchildren. My grandchildren are the reason I wrote the 3 books. I wanted them to know just who their fat old Papa Lee really was. 6, I am a pet owner. I have 7 dogs and 2 cats. You'll probably hear the dogs barking in the background during some portion of these presentations. They are all members of our family. 7, I am a veterinarian. That is how I can afford all these pets. I served my profession for 4 years in the Army and 41 years as a private practitioner. I truly love my work. I have not missed a day of work in over 45 years. 8, I am a survivalist. I used to call myself a doomsday prepper. I do believe in emergency preparedness. I consider myself a sustainable farmer now. I have fruit trees, gardens, vineyards, beehives, chickens, rabbits, and even fish. I will deal with all of this in my 3rd book. And lastly, I am a patriot. I believe we live in the greatest country in the world in spite of all of our leaders' faults. The people of this nation is what makes our nation so great. I am proud to be an American. As far as the past, I've been married and divorced on 2 occasions. I have screwed up so many times in my life that I can't count them all. I'm not an expert on anything. My IQ is only average. My family's life experiences have included everything from severe birth defects, mental retardation, drug addiction, overnight incarceration, divorce, and even an attempt at suicide. I have been put in a position to save a man from drowning and rescuing a live newborn baby from a dumpster. Life is real. Life is hard. Our family has weathered these storms of life because of our belief in our faith in our Heavenly Creator. I hope to convince each and every one of you to live every moment to its fullest and to realize that within each of us is a loving spirit ready to help mankind. So now you know more than you really cared to know about me. I just feel that you need to know what kind of man has all of these answers. So you should be asking the question, why are you narrating the book when I could buy it and read it myself? The reason I'm narrating and reading these books is because they are too hard to read and understand. Not one member of my family has made it through the 1st book. You can buy the books on Lulu.com, but I advise you against it. Do not buy the books. It will be a complete waste of time and money. I will explain the books to you and teach you everything you need to know. Besides, these YouTube series are free. I never wrote these books for financial gain. The answers were given to me as a gift, a task, a responsibility that I could either choose or not choose to fulfill. The answers are not mine from which to profit. So now you should be finally asking, from where did the answers come? Get ready. You're about to find out just how crazy this fat old Papa Lee really is. The time is June 1978. The exact date I do not remember. I had just celebrated my 31st birthday. 9 months had passed since the finalization of my first wife and my divorce after nearly 10 years of marriage. I was working 2 jobs at the time. One running my own veterinary clinic, and the second working at another emergency clinic. My second wife-to-be and I were dating at the time and had been for about 6 months. I felt stressed over the kids but happy with my new relationship. That summer night in June 1978, my life would change forever. Here are the events of that night. I was sleeping alone in my bedroom. I was laying on my back. I can close my eyes now and still see this huge gray hand come up from under the bed. The hand started pressing down on my stomach. Needless to say, I was scared out of my wits. I remember trying to grab the hand. I kept turning from side to side, struggling to sit up in bed. Finally, after what seemed an eternity, I found myself standing at the foot of the bed. I went to the wall switch and tried to turn on the light. I can still see my hand passing through the light switch like I was a ghost. I then went to the bathroom and tried to turn on the light switch there. With no results, down the hallway I went to the living room. Arriving in the living room, I found a 10-inch luminescent disc of light on the floor. The light conveyed to me telepathically, "Follow me." I remember thinking, no way, man, I'm not following you anywhere. In the next instant, I find myself standing in my open doorway leading to my stoop. I see this innocent-looking newspaper boy with one of those bags of newspapers over his shoulder. He was walking up the staircase toward me. Telepathically, he asked me, "What are you doing?" I answered, "This light wants me to follow it, but I'm afraid." The newspaper boy answered, "I will go with you." I said, "Okay," and started down the stairs. The next instant, the newspaper boy was gone. In the next moment, I find myself standing in the parking lot next to a vehicle. I would describe it as a gray open Jeep. There are 4 beings in the vehicle. Each has a silver metallic suit and large almond black shiny eyes. A small mouth and 2 tiny nostrils were on a triangular shaped face. As I'm standing there, with no communication occurring, a police car pulls up to my right and shines a spotlight on me. One of the officers yells at me, "What is going on over there?" The being that was staring at me turns and points his finger at the squad car. The spotlight goes out. The policemen are motionless. After an unknown period of time of standing beside the Jeep vehicle, the being staring at me communicates telepathically. "You will not remember anything I have told you. You have all the answers. We will be back for you someday." I remember turning and walking back up the sidewalk to the apartment. I remember looking up at the sky. It was a beautiful, clear, starlit night. The stars were bright and twinkling. There was no moon shining. Everything seemed so peaceful at that moment. I do not remember getting from the sidewalk and walking up the stairs. I do not remember going through the front door. The next thing I do remember is standing beside my bed. Again, nothing felt out of the ordinary. I actually felt very relaxed and calm. When I got back to my bedroom, I was not afraid. I remember looking at the clock. The time was 3 a.m. I got back in bed and went back to sleep. I did not look under the bed for the big gray hand. I was not afraid. I have never been afraid since. I woke the following morning and went about my usual activities. I'm going to stop here and go over again what happened. I was in my apartment. Well, first off, this is actually the apartment complex that I lived at. And this is actually my room up here, my apartment. And the bedroom is right here. The staircase, we'll get to in just a second. This is the bedroom. I'm laying on my back, sound asleep. And the big gray hen comes up. It's about 4 times the size of your hand right here, and it's like kind of a gray ghost type hen. It was a left hand also. Anyway, it was pressing down on my stomach. I struggled and struggled to get up. I couldn't. Next thing I know, I'm standing at the foot of the bed right here. I go over to this wall switch, try to turn it on. My finger just passes right through the wall switch. From there, I went to the bathroom, did the same thing there. Nothing happened. I came down the hallway here, and in the living room here, there was this 10-inch disc of light. It wasn't lighting up the room or anything like that. It was just kind of a glowing light that spoke to me telepathically and said, "Follow me." And I said, "No way." Next thing I know, I'm standing here in the doorway. Now, the door is not open. I'm standing through the door like I'm half on one side and half on the other. And it's like I'm just kind of like a ghost going through the door. Anyway, that's when the newspaper boy comes up here. He's about halfway up the stairs, right here. And he says, "What's wrong?" And I said, "Well, this thing wants me to follow it." And I said, "I'm scared." So anyway, he said he'd go with me, and I guess then I felt brave enough to go. So the next thing I know, he disappears. From there, there's no sensation of walking. You're at one spot, and then you suddenly appear at another spot. And from there, I came to the parking lot. I came right down here, standing there, and next to me was the Jeep, and the Jeep had 4 aliens in it, or 4 creatures, or whatever you want to call them. I'm standing there. No communications going on or anything, and that's when the police car pulls out, and they shine the light on it. The gray Jeep was right here. The police car, the gray Jeep is right here. The police car pulls up right over here. They shine the light on me. They asked me what I was doing. This little guy points his finger at him. The light goes out, and this light here was one of those that mounts on the outside. These were old police cars, of course, in 1978, and it was one that they operated from the outside with a little handle. I still remember every detail of it. Anyway, the aliens told me that I would not remember anything that they'd told me, that I have all the answers, and that they would be back for me someday. I then proceeded from here. Again, no sensation of walking. Next thing I know, I'm standing right here on my sidewalk. This is where I look up in the sky. I'm standing right here, looking straight up in the sky here. It's a starlit night. I mean, it was beautiful. No wind blowing or anything. And I felt really calm and peaceful. Next thing I know, I'm back standing beside my bed. I don't look under the bed. I'm not afraid. I'm very calm and relaxed, and I go about my usual activities the following day. So what really happened in June of 1978? From that following day in June 1978, I have been on a continuous quest to find the meaning of my bizarre event. I have always felt that for every effect in nature, there must be a cause. So far as the causes of that night, there are many medical and psychological explanations. Here are the possible causes. First, I was probably experiencing post-traumatic stress syndrome over my divorce. I felt like I had failed my ex-wife, my kids, and my parents. Divorce was taboo, a sin. Second, I'm a manic depressive. Being summer with the longer daylight hours, I was probably experiencing a manic grandiose episode. Third, I may have experienced a textbook case of sleep paralysis. The movie, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, had come out in 1977. I personally do not ever remember going to the movie and seeing it. I do remember, however, a conversation with a psychologist at a dinner that a friend of mine and I attended at his house. I remember him discussing the Christ-like symbol at the end of the movie when the alien held up its hands. I had not seen the movie and did not know what he was talking about. I believe the dinner took place in January or February in 1978, before my weird event. I definitely know that it was wintertime. Fourth, I may have been experiencing some form of seizure activity either from hallucinogenic drug usage, chemical toxicity, head trauma, or a brain tumor. One can rule out hallucinogenic drugs since I've never even smoked a cigarette or marijuana. Toxic drugs are a possibility. My brother and I killed mesquite trees when I was 13 with a chemical herbicide. My brother later died of bone marrow cancer at the age of 50. Trauma is another possibility. I vividly remember the story of hitting my head on a metal bedpost when I was 4 while playing with my older brother. We supposedly were playing bucking horsey and he threw me off his back. I remember my mother treating the wound with a gooey medication that she referred to as bubble gum. Or maybe she said the blood clot in my hair felt like bubble gum. Who knows? Anyway, I can close my eyes now and remember the house, the back room, and the pan of water she used to clean my wound. I still have a bump and a scar on the back of my head after 63 years. The only problem is that my mother could never recall the incident happening. Brain tumor. That's an easy one. I'm still alive today. As far as my early childhood is concerned, I can only remember one other enlightening experience. I was 12. I would call it a religious enlightenment at summer church camp. I did not see Jesus or hear the voice of God or anything like that. And yes, I'd ruled out paranoid schizophrenia years ago. I can assure you that I did change for the better that summer. I started doing well in school and became goal-oriented toward becoming a veterinarian. Maybe the change was due to hormones, maybe maturity. Your guess is as good as mine. Just a brief note about my mental state. I have been self-destructive ever since my first year in high school. I do not mean that I thought about taking my life or anything like that. Having an older brother who was mentally handicapped and a younger brother who was physically handicapped, and plus 2 parents with 9th grade educations, I had always felt unworthy of any success that I may have had. In high school, I would always take home more projects than could be completed. I left a lot of things undone and unfinished. This self-destructive behavior caused 2 divorces, a failed business, and subsequent bankruptcy. With the help of my soulmate and wife of 26 years, I do not experience the massive highs and lows of the past. Life is now fun. Now you know a lot more about me than you really probably wanted to know. I just want you to know what kind of crazy person has all of this valuable knowledge that you're going to learn. After all, remember the alien told me, you have all the answers. My problem is I do not even know what the questions are. I have never been so naive or conceited enough to truly believe that I have all the answers. One would only need to look at my track record to see that if I did have all the answers, I sure did not listen to myself very well. You have all the answers. The more I pondered this statement, the more questions I asked myself. What really happened on that June 9th in 1978? We're going to stop here. This is part 1 of episode 1, the introduction, and we're going to take up part 2. You'll really see how crazy I am in part 2. So I want to see you there, and I'm going to say Papa Lee signing off.